All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible showdowns in history. We're going to look at how a simple list of theological arguments, basically a request for a debate, ended up sparking a revolution that would completely reshape the Western world.
So our story kicks off in 1517, and this quote, whether it's real or not, really tells you everything you need to know about how the church first saw this German monk, Martin Luther. To Pope Leo X, he was a nobody, just some minor squabble out in the sticks. They had absolutely no idea what was coming.
Now, you might think Luther was a revolutionary from the get-go, but you'd be wrong. Far from it. His first move wasn't some grand act of rebellion. It was actually incredibly respectful.
See, he put together his 95 Theses. And you gotta understand, this wasn't a declaration of war. Think of it more like a list of topics for a university debate. And he didn't nail it to a church door to start a riot. He sent it directly to his superior, Archbishop Albert of Mainz. This was supposed to be an internal affair.
And just listen to the language he used in the letter that went with it. He calls himself the scum of the earth, a speck of dust. I mean, it's about as humble as you can get. He's practically begging the archbishop to put a stop to the way indulgences were being sold because he genuinely believed it was poisoning the souls of everyday people.
Well, here's the catch. The archbishop was deep in debt, and he was getting a cut of those indulgence sales to pay it off. So, was he interested in a debate? Not a chance. He just forwarded Luther's theses straight to Rome, and that's when things escalated fast.
So Rome rolls out this three-step plan to shut this guy up. First, they tell Luther's own monastic order, the Augustinians, hey, get your man. When that doesn't work, they unleash the rival Dominicans to publicly tear his arguments apart. And when that fails too, they go for the nuclear option, summon him to Rome for heresy.
That first attempt? Oh, it backfired. Big time. At a meeting in Heidelberg, instead of getting shut down, Luther ends up winning over a whole bunch of the younger thinkers. As he put it, I went on foot, I came back in a wagon. He basically walked in as a suspect and left a hero.
And here's where it gets really juicy. Luther gets his hands on a new Greek translation of the Bible, and he finds a bombshell. The official Latin Bible said penitentiam agite, which the church interpreted as do penance, an external act, something you could buy an indulgence for. But the original Greek was metanoite. That doesn't mean do something, it means change your mind, an internal transformation. This one little discovery threatened the entire foundation of indulgences.
So, with his ideas spreading like wildfire, Rome decides to drop the hammer. On August 7th, 1518, the official summons arrives. Show up in Rome in 60 days. The charge is heresy. And let's be clear, the penalty for that was often being burned at the stake. This wasn't a slap on the wrist, this was a death sentence.
But Luther had an ace up his sleeve, or rather, a prince in his corner, Frederick the Wise. In a brilliant political move, Frederick steps in and gets to hearing moved. Instead of certain doom in Rome, Luther would get a hearing on home turf, in Augsburg, Germany. But he'd be facing the Pope's personal representative, Cardinal Cajetan.
So they meet for 3 straight days, and the debate very quickly gets stripped down to its core. This isn't really about indulgences anymore. It's about something much, much bigger. It's about one fundamental question.
And here it is, the point of no return. The unbridgeable gap. Cardinal Cajetan's position is simple. The Pope interprets the Bible. The Pope is above the Bible. End of story. And Luther's response? His Holiness abuses Scripture. I deny that he is above Scripture. For Luther, the Bible was the ultimate authority. Period. Not the Pope.
Cajetan, realizing he was getting nowhere, just completely lost it. He basically screamed at Luther to get out and never come back, unless he was ready to take it all back. But privately, you can see he was kind of stunned by him. He saw he wasn't dealing with some drunken fool, but someone with incredibly deep convictions. So the meeting is over, but the danger is just getting started. Rumors start flying around Augsburg that Cajetan's going to have Luther arrested and dragged to Rome in chains, safe conduct pass or not. Luther knew he had to get out of there, and he had to do it now.
So, with the help of some friends, he slips out of a small gate in the city wall in the middle of the night. And get this, the escape was so frantic, he rode all night in his monk's robes, but without any breeches, proper riding pants. It's a funny little detail, but it just shows you the pure panic and the very real danger he was in.
Before he fled, someone had asked him, "What will you do if your prince abandons you?"
And his answer was just, under the open sky. It shows you everything about his mindset. He was ready to be a homeless outcast for what he believed. His ultimate trust wasn't in princes, but in God.
So he gets back to the safety of Wittenberg. But is he laying low? Heck no. He doubles down. He issues a formal legal appeal. But he doesn't appeal to the Pope. He appeals over the Pope's head to a future council of the entire church. Now, this was a radical, even illegal move. It was a direct challenge, basically saying the Pope isn't the final boss.
So the ball is back in Prince Frederick's court. Cardinal Cajetan sends him a letter with an ultimatum. Your choice. Send Luther to Rome to face the music or banish him from your lands forever. The fate of this whole simmering rebellion hangs on what this one prince decides to do. And Frederick's reply, it is an absolute masterclass in political maneuvering. Notice he doesn't defend Luther's beliefs, not one bit. Instead, he talks about justice and due process. He says, hey, show me the proof. Convict him in a fair trial, and then we'll talk. He frames his defiance not as protecting a heretic, but as upholding the law. It was brilliant.
And that right there, that one decision by one German prince was the political shield that allowed the Reformation to survive. Make no mistake, without Frederick's protection, Luther would have been gone, arrested, sent to Rome, probably executed, and the whole movement would have been snuffed out before it ever really began.
So, Frederick's gambit saved Martin Luther. But in doing so, it drew a line in the sand. Any chance of a quiet compromise was officially gone. The stage was now set for a much, much bigger fight. A fight that would ultimately pit nations against Rome and tear the map of Europe apart forever.